Hi and welcome back. I'm just about to import my diffuse, normal and my template all into Gimp, so I'll just select all three of these files and open them. In fact, I'll actually open them as layers. Open as layers, desktop, small chairs, this one. Okay, Control L brings up your layers, and I'll bring this one to the top. It's my UV layout. So if we hide that, we can see how the textures line up. I can have a look at any of the detail that I don't like. All of that looks pretty good. Just a little bit here. I'll pick this red. I'll bring the opacity down and use a soft brush. Pick another work there. Oh, it needs to be on this one. Okay. Just make sure that's more red there and there. Now I'm going to use the graphics pen for this. Get a little bit more control than using the mouse. And I can smear some parts as well. Okay, Control Shift and E makes the image come back to fit the window. And there's nothing too apparent that I want to change. I maybe want to neaten these bits up a little bit, so I'll just pick the lightest colour, bring the brush down in size, a little bit more. I actually want to have the opacity down a little bit as well. I'm basically just making this up as I go. How it looks is entirely up to you, whatever model you might be making. Obviously. But it's good to brush up any details, because they'll show up a lot better. For your folio or for a game that you're making, you'll obviously put more pride into it. The more work you put into it, the more pride you get back out of it. So if you're struggling for like inspiration, then hopefully these videos help you to see that you don't have to be a really top artist or anything. You just have to accentuate things, use as many colours and shades as possible. Basically just use your noggin and make it look good. I'm sure there's plenty of arty types out there that have their own styles as well. My style is cartoony / realistic, kind of falls in between. But yeah, I'm just emphasizing these little gold parts here because I'm going to basically do a spec map of my own, and that will make these little gold bits shine a bit more. I just need a few colours, a few shades of colour for the spec map to pick up on. You can see this is all kind of going a bit pixely. So I want to kind of brush that up a little bit. I've seen this looks like a little face. I'll actually make it into a little face. I'll use the blend here and scale it down. Yeah, I could go on further and add loads of detail, but I basically want to show you how to get a spec map out of this now. So with this one in view, I'll just save this over the old bitmap. Okay, and I'll create a copy, paste it onto a new layer, and I'll concentrate on making this into a specular map. So basically I'm just going to make some colours of when the light hits the object, what colours does it show and how bright. So the first thing I'll do is do a hue and saturation pass. That's if it shows up. Colours, hue, saturation. And that's just the telephone going, but I'll ignore that. It's probably one of these hoaxes. So I want to saturate it a little bit, get a little bit lighter. About there. I can shift the hue if I want to suggest a different tone of light. But I'll just shift it a little bit towards the red. Now I'll do a brightness and contrast. I'll ramp up the contrast and bring down the brightness. A bit like that. And again I'll do a hue and saturation. And I'll desaturate it a bit. Make it a little bit light again. I'll shift the hue towards the yellow. A bit like that. And okay. And that's pretty good for a specular map. I'll just change the brightness and contrast again until the black's truly black. That should do it. And I'll save that. I'll save it as small chest spec. Okay, that's pretty good. So now I can use X normal.
there's a tool in X normal that takes a height map and turns it to a normal map, and for this I'll just I'll use the spec map that I made. And I will make sure Y is on the minus, X positive, Z positive, and right click and generate, and that creates a kind of normal detail that's pretty good. Okay, and I'll save that, but I won't save over the old one. I'll actually call this normal 2. Okay, so now I've got 2 normal maps, and I'll import that as a layer. So I'll open as layer, and I'll look for normal 2, and I'll just hide everything else and have my 2 normal maps on it, and I basically want to blend 2 of these together a little bit. You can see how they work together to emphasize some detail. I just want to get it to a happy medium, maybe about there. And I will right click and do merge visible layers, and then do brightness and contrast, and I'll just bring the contrast up ever so slightly to about 10, and I will save this as the original small chest normal and replace the old one. Okay, so that's basically me got all the textures that I need for the final product, and I will test it out now. And you can see already some of the details being enhanced. You can see this little face is actually upside down, but that's my fault for not flipping this background. But you can see it looks a little better. And that's just the normal map. It's doing that. I still have to re-import the specular map, so I'm going to choose the new specular map, and there's a bit more red in there now where the light hits it, so it gives the wood a little bit more richness. I'll bring in an omni light to see exactly how red that is, and it's very highly amplified, so I might want to reduce the specular amount to 1, and that's all I really need, is a little suggestion of like rich wood. Always goes crazy. 150, 0, minus 150, 100, minus 100, minus 50, and there you go. You can see the little raised out parts look pretty good. So I will continue this on my own now, and that pretty much concludes the whole making textures process. Next video I'll show you how to export into UDK. Okay, thanks.